On a concrete floor in San Salvador, a maintenance scheduler is staring at a set of heavy hydraulic jacks holding up a gutted Airbus. Until that jet gets a back-ordered engine mount, those jacks cannot drop, and the next plane stays outside.
So it sits on the tarmac.
The entire game of global aviation right now is whoever can corner that scheduler for his jacks before the cycle counter on their aging hull hits zero and the plane legally becomes a brick.
You call it a cycle counter. In 1804, it was dry rot.
Oh, boy.
Twice in 2 centuries, a fleet with limitless capital has been paralyzed because the empire forgot to build the scaffolding. The Royal Navy blockading Napoleon had the money.
Well, in theory.
Oh, the country did, in general. But if every dry dock at Portsmouth was holding a frigate waiting on seasoned oak,
And the oak has to air, it has to season.
that's right, and the 74-gun ship of the line stayed in the salt until it was useless. An admiral doing exactly what your airline executive is doing.
Cornering a civilian dockmaster.
Begging for a physical slot, and the species assumes liquidity bypasses physical reality. It'll eagerly finance 100 glamorous vessels and completely forget to build a tin shed to prepare them.
To put them up, to put them on blocks.
The game belongs to the man with the jacks.
Okay, but it's slightly more than the pure physical. Your admiral wasn't fighting a quarterly earnings call,
Sure.
right? The airline executive staring at those jacks is pricing his own survival, and the currency is whatever the man in the shed decides to ask for.
Yeah. If the currency were cash, the executive would wire it. The credit facility
Is perfectly intact.
But a premium doesn't forge a back-ordered engine mount.
You can't make something out of nothing.
Your executive staring at those jacks is every whaling captain in the 1840s who snapped a mainmast in the Pacific.
Oh, we're doing whaling.
He didn't pay the nearest island shipyard in gold. The yard had no timber.
Right?
He paid by beaching the weakest boat he had
Brutal.
and stripping it for wood so the rest could sail. So the scheduler in San Salvador doesn't ask for a wire transfer. He tells your executive to fly a second, perfectly healthy A320 down to the concrete, park it in the weeds outside the hangar, and let the crew strip its mount.
Oh, God.
When the bottleneck is physical, you don't pay with an earnings miss. You pay by executing one of your own assets on the ramp.
Except the airline doesn't own the fleet. Half the planes in the sky belong to...
Leasing firms in Dublin.
So your captain actually owned his timber. This executive just took a wrench to an engine that leases for $200,000 a month on its own. On its own. He isn't sacrificing his own ship. He's pulling parts off his landlord's collateral to stay alive.
The landlord is a piece of paper in Dublin. The metal fatigue is on the runway.
Right.
The Equipment Trust Certificate was invented so 19th century railroads could lease their locomotives instead of buying them. When the Panic of 1893 hit and the repair sheds jammed, the story goes, desperate roundhouse managers didn't ask the Philadelphia banks for permission to survive. They stripped the brass, the valves, and the
Axles.
off borrowed engines to keep the mail trains running.
And the mail arrived.
On time. And when the lessors finally arrived to repossess their collateral, they found gutted
iron. I love it.
Gutted iron. So the executive doesn't care who holds the title to that engine. The hangar requires a physical toll. And you do not ask a lessor's permission to pay it. You unbolt his asset to feed the man with the jacks, and you let Dublin hold the paperwork. What are they going to do? Send a bailiff down to drag it off the jacks?
I'm going to update that.
Yeah.
Your Philadelphia banker had to ride a train for 3 days to find his gutted iron. The lease manager at AirCap in Dublin is watching a digital maintenance log. The exact second that Pratt & Whitney engine comes off the wing in San Salvador, the software records a donor transfer.
But the maintenance log doesn't stop the guy with the wrench.
It doesn't stop him. It reports him. Dublin doesn't wait to repossess an empty hull. That lease manager triggers a cross-default clause on the other 40 planes the airline is currently flying. Your executive did not bypass physical reality. to feed the man with the jacks.
Mm-hmm.
He just handed his entire routing network to an accountant in Ireland.
And then what does the accountant do with 40 planes?
Well,
The software flashes. He triggers the covenant. He just took title to 40 aging airframes.
Right.
And he still does not own a physical slot in San Salvador.
Oh, no.
Every one of those jets is bleeding cycles, and he's now the man legally obligated to pay the parking fees to keep them on the tarmac. When the tanker market broke in '74, London banks triggered the covenants and seized the hulls. Within 60 days, a desk officer in the city realized that taking title to a supertanker meant he was suddenly paying a skeleton crew to keep the boilers firing in a Norwegian fjord so the pipes wouldn't freeze. A physical asset that can't move isn't collateral. It's a hemorrhage.
So they gave them back?
By '75, the syndicates were quietly handing the keys back to broke Greek captains and pretending they never saw the breach.
They didn't want them.
So the accountant in Ireland doesn't want the network. He closes the log. He lets your executive unbolt the engine to feed the man with the jacks.
Why?
Because a cannibalized fleet in the air pays rent. If the November filings out of Dublin show a flat repossession line, then no lease manager pulled the trigger, and your digital log is just a diary.
Then it's a diary of a fleet eating itself. Every time a cycle counter zeroes out, another jet lands in San Salvador, drops its own engine to pay the toll, and gets shoved off the concrete into the grass. Dublin collects the rent, the executive survives the quarter, and the scheduler just wipes down his steel and waves the next donor inside.
He doesn't care whose name is on the tail. Neither did the dockmaster at Portsmouth. As long as the species builds machines that fatigue, the man holding the paper always ends up working for the man holding the jacks.